My name is Kemet Coleman. I'm one of the founders of Vine Street Brewing Company. Vine Street Brewing Company is Missouri's first black-owned brewery located right here in Kansas City in the historic Jazz District. We've been open since June 2023, and it's been pretty successful so far. We're in about 90 to 100 locations on the Missouri and Kansas side of the KC Metro, including the Kansas City Airport, and we have several selections here on site. Vine Street is, in my opinion, the most important street in Kansas City. It's what we're internationally known for. When we think about the song, you know, going to Kansas City, they say 12th Street and Vine.
With my Kansas City baby and a bottle of Kansas City wine.
It was a thriving neighborhood and a hub for black culture here in Kansas City. Really the generator of where jazz grew up across the country. If musicians wanted to make it in, let's say, LA, any other place west of the Mississippi, they had to go through Kansas City. And there are legends around the world that are still alive, like Quincy Jones or Carlos Santana, that say this on stage to this day. So it was very important that we connected with the most important neighborhood that happens to be a hub for black innovation and has such a rich history. The community has responded really nicely as well. You know, one of the things that we wanted to prevent was having a, allergic reaction as a new establishment in a place that's been abandoned for 40 years. A lot of times projects that come into new environments kind of have that, so we were very intentional about how we kind of embed ourselves, and so we want it to be a reflection of this neighborhood, and there's a lot of growth potential, and we know what the Jazz District used to look like and what it used to mean for not only the black community here, but just the city. Like, this is the place where you would come to have a good time, and we want to bring that back for sure, but we're not just all about like bringing things back. We know we're inspired by it, we respect it, and we highlight it, but we're trying to usher in the future. Yeah, this is the production space. We make all of our beers here on site. What you're looking at here is kind of the hot side of the brewing process. This is where we create this liquid that becomes future beer. And then we pump it into these vessels here, and they sit there for a few weeks. We pitch in yeast and they get CO2 and some additional flavors. What inspired me to jump into the beer business? I've been a musician all my life. I got into the scene about 12, 13 years ago. I really wanted a side hustle, so I started working at Boulevard Brewing Company, and I became a tour guide there, and I learned everything for the first time about craft beer at that moment, and then I've just been pretty hooked on it since. My life is a celebration of the Black experience, so pretty much every day is Black History Day for me. So really, Black History Month is really that cherry on top. It's the ability to kind of take a moment to celebrate the contributions of people of African descent. Can't really think about American food without thinking about, Black history. When you think about music, you can't think about it. So really, it's American history, in my opinion. So, I think this is one of the most American months that we have to celebrate. It's also a time when, as someone, who might have experienced some negative things, connotations of being an African American, it's a time where, that's celebrated. And so I think it instills a sense of pride in us, and hopefully it instills a sense of pride and connection to, everybody in their relationship with this month. Growing up in Kansas City, when you think about the past, you think about kind of a less pleasant time, more like kind of doldrum, a little bit kind of gloomy, oh, I can't wait to get up out of here type of situation. So, there was definitely an inferiority complex when I was coming up about Kansas City, unlike what we have today. As I got a little bit older, I really started to tap into the musical side of the city and realized how significant it was, not just in Kansas City, but across the world, really. That really kind of changed my perspective and allowed me to, want to stay here and really build something because, I saw a lot of people that were moving away and they were like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to blow up, LA and New York and Chicago and Atlanta and all this. I'm just like, that's cool, but you're going to be a, small fish in a big pond. And here you can quite do the opposite, depending on if you're a little crazy. So, Goodwill's mission of, really enhancing the workforce development and not just in Kansas City, but across the country and potentially the world, is the work that has to be done. That's really where we can't stop on, hey, we're celebrating a month. This is where we actually can put boots on the ground. And so, for Goodwill to have the kind of that year-long mission really speaks volumes, and I think that's something that should be replicated, and that's part of our mission, is really helping to lift up a neighborhood, lift up a people, lift up a community, lift up folks who typically don't get those opportunities. And we're really proud of that. And I think that if that work continues, then the world will be a much better place.